Hi there, it's Mike from AvanTech. Just going to show a brief demo of some basic setup of a weld ticket in ETS Mobile, our electronic ticketing service. I'm just going to log in, and this is a mobile web app, so you just access it in your browser. And what it does when it first connects is it updates anything that needs to be updated and stores all of that application data in the browser itself so that you can use it in an offline environment. So once you're connected once and you've loaded it, you can then use it if you don't have an internet connection, and all the features of the weld tickets are still available. You can create and save them, create multiple. So essentially on the left side, we've just got a menu where you can access the various sections of the application. And the main area I'll show here is our weld tickets. This is the view we're in. If I click on that, it's just going to update and show me my current tickets. I'll open one that isn't already finished, and just to give you an idea of what a ticket looks like. We've got a bunch of tabs laid out along the top here for the various sections. This first section, general info, is just that. It's a lot of fields. They're all optional except just a couple things. You have to have a customer name, a date, a province, and a job type. Those are the only required fields with the little star there. Everything else is optional, but it's there if you want to keep track of it electronically with your ticket. Obviously, you can do so. So it's got report info, customer info, rig info, and then some information about your casing and drill line if you want to enter that in here. So the next tab is our activities, and this is where you can set up all of the various activities that you're doing through the day. And our activity list is completely editable by you, specific to your company. And we've got a default list here that I'm showing. So if you had a rig move on your ticket, I've already got a time entered in for that. Or, any of these other activities that you can do, you could enter them in. Say this is what we're doing between this time frame. We'll just say this one's from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So we've got 3 hours. You can add in any notes and comments if you want as well. And then you add that. This just lists all the activities for you, and it tallies up the hours that are in them all. So the next tab is our personnel tab. And you can see here, this already had a rig crew in it, and we can do that by having a default crew for that particular rig. So that way it makes it a lot simpler. Every time you make a new ticket, it'll have your default crew if they don't change. And on this one, this just is an example of our kind of standard personnel or time entry for the ticket. So you've got your work hours, travel time, and kilometers traveled. These are checkboxes which are often used with our clients for additional pay categories or items that are paid for, basically, if they're done on a job. So if they use their own vehicle, or if they're in camp, or specific safety items. And we can customize these things for you. We generally customize this view of the personnel tab for every customer. We've done everything from multiple shifts, 12 hours and 24-hour operations, with completely different work categories and all kinds of options there. So, we'll talk with you about what you need as far as how your crew works, and then we make it suit your business. You can always add additional employees. This just gives you a drop-down selector and a position you can add them in as. And that's an easy way to add additional people if, the rig crew has changed from the defaults. You can also copy from another ticket. So if your crew is the same from a previous ticket, you can copy that over and it'll have all of their information brought in for you. So our next tab, next few tabs, BOP. This is just for entering in some basic BOP tests that you've done, or measurements and tests recorded, and these will show up on your ticket. We've got a slot for safety. So this has room just to put in your own safety comments and notes. And then as well, in the bottom here, we've got check boxes for the items, particular to your business. We can customize these if needed, but you'd basically use them to check off what was done as part of your safety meeting or safety checks for that particular day's work on that ticket. And our well costs, this is the next tab. So here we've got kind of 3 categories of costs that you can add. Rig costs are that. We have a selection list of all the available rig costs. Again, these can be customized by you completely. and you can pick the rig cost item. It pulls in the default rate for that, and then you can obviously set a quantity and say how much of that you've got going on. Say we ran that 5, it just puts in that quantity, that order amount, and tallies up the totals. So the rig costs, you can customize that list of rig costs, and you can make that specific to each particular customer, and you can even use specific rate sheets for different districts for a given customer. So you can really refine it how and where you need your pricing. Expendables are similar. They're just meant to be more of kind of your inventory items and items you're using and charging for. So you can put any number of them in and a quantity that you'd bill out, and it just adds in those costs, of course. If you have an additional item that you would need in here, or maybe a third party comes in and has some costs that you're including on your invoice, this is just a free form placeholder for that. So you can put any kind of description or items in here you want with whatever costs. So maybe you add $100 charge for something, I'll just call it placeholder and it shows up there. But whatever you type in, whatever you name it in the pricing, that shows up then on your ticket. On the weld data tab, just got some information you can fill in, memos essentially for your rods, fluids, and tubing. And then we've got some of the pumped information that you can track as well. And the final tab is the review page, and this just summarizes the ticket and the costs. And this allows you to put a signature on this. So if I save this ticket, I always have to save before you can sign it. Then that will allow me to click on here and put my signature, which is terrible with a mouse, but it works. And then I'll save that with the ticket, and you can get customer rep as well to do that. And when it does this, it then has essentially locked that ticket. So you can no longer make changes for it if there's a signature on it. You can still clear the signatures if you need to go back and make edits, and it will require you to re-sign it with the new version. If you need to, you can even go back and view the previous versions that were made on that ticket. That's based on each one that was signed. It saves a revision if it's been signed. And so finally, I can show you the printed view. This is kind of our standard report layout, and it includes all your main job details, important job details. It shows the activities that you've entered in, any of your safety and BOP data and content there. And then on the right side, it's got your costs. So all your well service costs, the expendables, and the third party. So you can see what I filled in here is there. And then below that, you have your full rig crew. So this would obviously show all their chargeable time and travel hours and such, and the hours that they worked. If there's signatures, when this gets actually printed, it'll put a signature in here, and you can see the total costs, obviously. So you can download this. It'll let you download it as a PDF, or you can just use it from within the system as well. So that's all there is to it. Once you've saved that ticket, when you are back online, it can synchronize these tickets back to the head office server. And that's just done with this top right button. Right now it says nothing to sync because I'm actually working online. But if I was offline without my network, then it'll tell me I've got one ticket to sync, or many, or multiple if you've done more than one. And so then you can go back and view, I'll go back to my ticket view and just a couple other items now. Office users have the ability to see these then, of course, and they can review them and approve or lock them if they've reviewed it and they're happy with it. And once it's been locked by an office user, it cannot be edited again. You can't clear signatures. You can't do anything with it. And that's there so that it can be used as a kind of a flag, so they know it then can be invoiced, and it will not get edited by anyone. It can be unlocked manually if needed, and then you could ask that rig manager to make appropriate edits if something was missing or you did need to make a change to it, and then it would have to be approved and locked again. So hopefully that's a good overview of the main electronic ticket tower sheet here. And so I'll put some other demos together on some of the other types that we have and other things you can do in ETS. Hope that was helpful.